photographer with expertise in panoramic landscape images. Since 2008, Alex has been experiencing the beauty of nature in a special way on his expeditions, his climbs, the weeks spent in tents, and over the years he's perfected a unique photographic technique mastering the use of ultra-wide angle lenses. His gallery and landscapes include ultra-wide panoramas that go from 180 to 360 degrees. Today, Alex is recognized as a top expert in panoramic landscapes. He's been awarded in prestigious international competitions and featured in major publications. His work has been exhibited in the Royal Greenwich Museum in London for a year. Please welcome Alex.
Thanks. You are so much. Hello, everyone. So, I'm kind of interesting person, right? If you're here. So, thanks for being here, and it's a pleasure to, talk with you about my landscape photography. And today we will talk about a kind of landscape photography that is something different from other, landscape photography that you have already seen, maybe. And I can see a lot of people that I, consider like a master, like a big master for me. And so it's an honor to be here to talk with you. And of course, thanks to the organization for everything, because everything here is amazing. So to be here is an honor for me. We will talk about extreme panoramic landscapes. That is something weird to understand. It's something, that probably you've never seen before. And it's just a question to do something different from the others. And that's a kind of landscape photography. So I will introduce for first landscape photography in general. So we will talk about we will have an overview of landscape photography in general. We will talk about techniques, about the origin of landscape photography. That will be super interesting to see. And later on, we will move on particular techniques, contemporary techniques that today brings a lot of photographers on top of, awards or something like that. And later on, we will move on the difference between photographers. So how to make the difference, and I managed to make some difference in my path. And so, what about the goals? So which was the goal for me, and which was the challenge, the big challenge for me to, switch in this kind of landscape photography. So we'll take a minute for some stories, some photos, and some examples. And yes, let's talk about it. This sounds really familiar for many of you, right? So here are a lot of landscape photographers, and I think this is the most important part of landscape photography, to create a connection with nature. This is maybe the main thing, right? So every landscape photographer for first has to create a connection with nature, with an environment, and create a great connection with nature. This is the main thing, is the base. We are also already altogether agree with this. And in landscape photography, the pioneers of landscape photographies has tried a lot of techniques to bring the people to see places that they cannot see in any way. People that cannot travel or explore the world. And it was a little bit complicated in the beginning with film, to bring some, beautiful lights or night skies. And passing time, the pioneers has bring a lot of, images, a lot of places all over the world to bring people to have a beautiful journey in this, amazing planet, right? One of the best photographers ever, maybe you already know him, is Sebastião Salgado, that bring us in an incredible journey in his stories, in his adventures, up the mountains or wherever. And we can have a great inspiration from him. He started to work around 70, and I was born in 86, so you can imagine I was, dropped in something that is special. And I fell in love with his work, and it was super inspiring for me. And I've started to study some techniques and how to show the beauty like him. So contemporary photography has changed a little bit, because in contemporary photography, there are a lot of talents. If you open Instagram, every day you can see a lot of new talents. If you use your smartphone to take some photos, you will have a good result, at least. And so you will have a beautiful photo. And so it's like exploding the landscape photography in the past 6 or maybe 10 years. And a lot of photographers are doing a lot of beautiful work. And so some landscape photographer started to think how to make the difference and how to become professional landscape photographers. And they do it with some techniques, with some technical skills, like like composition, like crazy, something different. For example, if we go all together right now in the desert, we will see the same scene, the same scenario at the same height, more or less, right? And so we will see the same landscape in front of us. Of course, every one of us, we will have different emotions, but we will see the same landscape, right? So how to create some photographs that can communicate something more than this? You can use a lot of techniques. You can use the composition for first, like going down on the foreground and capture the details. You can have a lot of ideas to communicate the beauty of the nature. And sometimes it's a little bit hard, sometimes needs a little bit of studying. But anyways, the main point is every time the same. So create a rapport with the nature, a connection with the nature, and starting to create something that people can see and feel the beauty of the nature. This is the main thing, of course. There are a lot of techniques right now. If you go into landscapes, I don't know if are landscapers here. Some of you are landscapers, and some just curious. So it's hard to manage all of you. I don't bore someone of you, but anyways, these are the main techniques in terms of landscape. Sunset and sunrise are the classic. So a lot of people like Carpendaz, that is my friend, capture these stunning images with a lot of colors, a lot of contrast, a lot of intense tints, and they bring us into these photos, and it's super interesting how to do something like that. So it's a little bit complicated, but a lot of photographers do something like this. Of course, the night skies are become so popular in the last year. This is a photo from my business partner that is called Lorenzo Reni, that is a master in this genre. And he focused only on this genre that is super hard, because you need a lot of stuff, you need a lot of technical skills to do something like that. And so this becomes so popular, and of course the minimal landscapes. We have a kind of a wonderful examples here in the Xposure, like of course your exhibition that is crazy. So a lot of minimal landscapes, and you just fall in love with the calm atmospheres with minimal landscapes, and they are something unique. When I was working into the stages, I was like that. Oh my God, what a calm, what a peaceful. It's crazy. It's something like that communicate this kind of emotion. And so, how to make the difference in this panorama that is full of greatest artists, and you are, such a child that is studying something new, And I have tried a lot of techniques. Actually, I've tried the Milky Ways, but I failed. I've tried something like deep sky, as you can see on top of there, and also normal landscape, like normal contemporary landscape, like single shots with a foreground, with something that could be interesting to show, and also with some animals captured in the environment. So there are many genre of landscape photography, and I've tried all of them, and I failed in all of them, since I found something that really inspired myself. And that was the moment when I was in Senja Island, a beautiful island in Norway. I was there with two of the best landscape photographers in the world, that called Daniel Cordan and Max Reeve. I was with them here, and we were in a beautiful moment. We were in a portfolio review, and were talking about my photos, and they said to me, Alex, your single shots are something that we have already seen a lot of times, nothing special. And I was like, all right. It was like a punch in my face. I was super sad to know this kind of news. And they told me, yes, you are not doing nothing special. You are not doing nothing that is new. You need to, create something special, something new. And so they told me also, your panoramas are something different from what we ever seen since now, and they are so interesting because with those lines, with those different shapes and a lot of elements they are so interesting. So keep do that, keep do just panoramas. And I said, oh my God, so are you suggesting me to erase all of my portfolio? Because I was with a lot of single shots, because during my photo tours and trip and workshops, I collected a lot of landscapes. And they told me, yes, you have to erase all of them. And I was like, right, I have to restart from zero. But at least it's a good starting point, because it was something that I really love in that moment. And they told me, just keep going on a kind of photography that you love the most, something that you are in love with. Just go deep inside this kind of photography. And I said, all right, let's have a try. And as you can imagine, for a little bit famous photography, at least in Italy, because I was, knew it by my photos, and I'm already was organizing workshops. And you can imagine how it was to have an Instagram with just 4 or 5 panoramas. And people say, oh, this is a famous photographer, all right, just with 4 photos, all right. Was a little bit, tricky, but yeah. I've started to do only this kind of photos. And I completely fell in love with this kind of photos. So what was the goal? For first, it was a part to reach in terms of feelings. So I have completely redesigned my photography. I have completely reinvented my photography and my personal brand also, because as I told you, I was already new a little bit in Italy. And so I completely changed my vision of my photography. It was like a crisis. I was like, all right, I have to, restart from zero, and let's have a clear idea of this. And I've just started from doing what I like the most, as I told you, doing only that. That was the craziest part. But if, for example, I don't want to make some advertising, but if I told you, if, for example, I suggest to you which is the best, or not the best, but at least the first smartphone ever, you probably we probably answer iPhone. Or for example, if I say which is the best sparkling beverage that we all already knew, that is maybe Coca-Cola or something like that. So I've started from this idea, and I focused all of my stuff, all of my creativity just on this idea, just to to create an identity around this kind of photography. And so create, of course, also a brand identity because of the job. And I've started to define myself like a panoramic photographer, like only panoramic photographer. And they also make a post to presenting me like he's the best world panoramic photographer. I never say nothing like this, They just see my photos, and I do only panoramas, and so my gallery is full of panoramas, and so. And popularize and encourage the people to do something like that and to go deep in something that they love the most and become someone. Of course, if you focus just on argument and go straight on this argument every single day, you will reach something, at least, right? And so, at the beginning, the big change, the big challenge was to manage the most famous places like the Vestron, as you can see on top of the right, to manage them in my own way. So to create a sort of panorama in there. There are super famous places. Places is full of great photos from there, and so the starting challenges was to create something new in those places. And after a lot of tries, after a lot of years, I finally made it with some different conditions that allowed me to have the photo balanced. So like the mountain in the center, and the sun that was rising on the right, and of course the rainbow on the left, and was, something new, something special, something like my panoramas, right? And also push my limits, or push yours, because I was, I cannot define myself like a climber or like a professional climber. I just, try to go on top of the mountains like a monkey, like this. And when I reach the top of the mountains, sometimes I cannot sleep with my tent. For example, in here, it was impossible to set up a tent, so I slept with just my BB sack and waited for the light. And this was a kind of push your limits. This was super interesting to know, to open your eyes at the morning and seeing something like that. So the glacier, and was, I was thinking, now I'm on my way, and I found myself in landscape photography. I don't know why this photo is super stretched, but anyway. And of course, curiosity remains the best friends of landscape photographer or of photographer in general. Because if you're curious, you try to experiment a lot of things. So it's just a question of curiosity. I was super curious to, find myself, to explore the world, to try to have another vision, right, in the place that I have visited. And so, it's a different interpretation, right? I want to tell you some stories about my shots. Some of you already knew some stories by my social media or in the exhibition. I've talked with some of you. And so, for example, when I visit the deserts, when I was here in Tunisia, this was the Sahara Desert, I was completely stuck. I was like, oh my God, what a beauty. How can I do something beautiful here? And I've started to, to lose myself in the dunes. And I was also barefoot, and I explored everything like crazy. I lose completely the sense of time. I just explored and explored and explored, try to not destroy the foreground with my feet, because of the 360 degrees panorama, as you can see, can catch everything around you. And so I was like this, to reach the position and exploring everything, and it was amazing, an amazing experience. And I felt every time in my right place, in my I don't know, in my path, on my way to what I do, to what I love the most, right? And different places are, of course, different challenges. Like here is a photo from Værøy, that is an island that is located in Lofoten Islands in Norway. And also, I've seen a lot of beautiful photos from here. Marco here is an example in his exhibition. And I was completely, fascinated from this place. And I started to find a way to represent the beauty of this place. And my way was just wait for the mist that goes up and do something balanced from the left to the right. And I found this beautiful sea. And these are maybe the elements that represent, at best, the place. You know, sometimes a lot of people capture the central part of this image. And the challenge here today is to do every time a 360 degrees panorama, or at least a 180 panorama, to have something unique and something that I can feel mine, right? Also here, the story behind this photo is a little bit weird, because I was with fever. I was coming from 2 weeks of workshop and 1 week of tour, guided tour, and I was destroyed, like super tired. And I decided to stay again 1 week more in Iceland to bring some Northern Lights photos. And my dream was to have photos of the Northern Lights inside an ice cave. And so I parked my car, the rented car, nearby to the glacier, and I just waited around 3 or 4 days there, sleeping in the car and waiting for the light. And it was super crazy because I was with fever and I was super tired. And it was a night that where I was in a car and I'm start to seeing, the Northern Lights. And I just said, oh my God, no, please, no. And when the Northern Lights start to pop up, when I started to see it brighter, I just, pack my stuff and go through in the glacier. It was around 40-minute walk, not much. But when I was inside the cave, instead of fever, no problem at all. I was feeling like, yeah, I've done it. I have my own shot. I have my satisfaction and my joy. And I was completely alone. And when you are completely alone in a glacier, you can feel the glacier that moves. It lives. You can feel the changes of the of the ice. You can feel you can hear a lot of boom, like the giant icebergs that break. And so it was an amazing experience. So for first, when I talk with people that comes to my workshops or comes to my photo tours, the main thing is, guys, we are doing something special. We are in the nature. A lot of people can't. A lot of people can't afford, for example, a lot of money for traveling, or they are not able to. And so we are so lucky to do something that we love. And so for first, throw out your backpack and your camera, throw off them, and just focus on the environment and start to live your emotion and create a connection with the environment. That is the main thing. And also, sometimes I end up to create something that is more technical. In these years, I've experimented a lot of techniques to create my panoramas. As I told you, Milky Way panoramas are something that I've done a lot of times. But right now, they doesn't satisfy me more than doing something new, something special, something, something particular. And this kind of, for example, this kind of photos are 360 degrees panorama with the star trails that are just the stars that moving during the night. So if you leave a camera outside and go to sleep, so it's really easy, you just have to sleep. And you leave your camera outside and leave the camera capturing for every 30 seconds, for example, you will have something like that. Just in one way, for example, in the center you can see the axle of the rotation, the axle of the Earth. And so you will have something like that. And so sometimes I practice in technical things, and I try to, present some places like this. This is the desert of the Atacama Desert, and this place is photographed by million photographers that are super good. And so to be different here, I was there with a tent with 2 friends, and we slept for 15 days in the desert. That was a little bit, tiring, because it was 4,447 meters height, altitude. And so you just walk for 3 minutes, and we feel like, because of the altitude, And exploring this valley was amazing and was full of wind. And during the night, everything was calming down. And I just put my camera outside the tent and let the camera capture the beauty of the sky. As you can see, there are so many places that are really still dark, right, in the world. Not many as before, but, sometimes you can find beautiful dark skies. And Atacama Desert is a perfect place to have something like that. I was there with them, and I was sleeping in my tent. At 4 o'clock or 3:30, I woke up and I went out of the tent, and I just said, oh my God, this valley with the moonlight is just amazing, amazing. And I've started, looking for the foreground. I found these beautiful rock formations, and I said, all right, this can be really interesting with the moonlight. And as you can see, it's a little bit complicated to understand, because the light source is in the center, but sometimes you can have shadows here, for example, and lights there. And how is possible? Just because it was the moonlight behind the rocks, and we have a lot of shadows here, and so sometimes it's weird to understand. But with technical skills, we can have something like that and represent the beauty of the desert in a different way, and that's it. So we can end this talk with a conclusion. That is really, really easy, nothing special. I was awarded here last year for like the runner-up in landscape category. And for me, it was a great honor to be, awarded here. And I just stalked Simon to have my exhibition here. And it was like a dream. I never expected to do something like that. And also, it was the first time for me to do something in English, because usually I talk with Italian people, and I, take my lessons to Italian people. So it was a little bit, scaring. I was like, before I was super nervous, I tell her. And so, yeah, the conclusion, which is to watch the big every day. A lot of you already know something like that. Watch the big photographers every day, and try to study them, and try to understand why they can make the difference, right? Every time that I invite the people to my workshop, I say, all right, we have to take a bit of time to study the beautiful photos from the best photographers in the world. And you have to look at them and try to understand why they are so cool, why these photos are super impacting, super, effective at your eyes. And so just be curious and do what you visually love, and fail and fail and fail and fail and repeat, and that's it. So you can find me at my stage, of course. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. And I don't know if you have any question of this talk. All right, there. Please be fair with English. I'm not good at all.
I'm just trying out different genres of photography. What inspired you to do landscape? What motivated you?
I started this passion with Facebook. I was on Facebook, and I was in a lot of photography groups. And when I was there, I was looking major for landscape photography. I do much prefer landscape photography, and I start to stalk a lot of people and try to understand, hey man, how you can do it, how I can do it. Please help me, please help me, please help me. Every day, like a message, and then I understood that this can be my, my favorite kind of photography. I've tried a lot, like portraits. I've done some workshops, like a student, but in the end, I need to be on the mountains.
As of now, are you just limited to this kind of photography? Would you try out again, going back to the other different styles?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I will stay on my... But it's not a question of comfort zone, but it's just a question of what I love the most. So I will stay here. I will continue my panoramas. Maybe I will try to have a sort of series. Like I want to have a series in black and white, for example. I'm so scared because there are, monsters in terms of black and white. And so, wow, it's something completely new for me. But I want to try. I want to try, and I want to try also to have a different series from different places in the world, yeah.
In your pictures, there's always some kind of unique element. Like, if you see every photo, you try to develop new styles, like new ideas. The place is very simple, but you try to give a creativity to it. Yeah. How do you achieve that?
Technology can help us a lot. With Photoshop, if you study Photoshop or if you study any editing software, you can try a lot of things in terms of creativity, and it's just on your brain limit. So you just have to try and try and try, and I just try. I never arrived. I'm not a super photographer. I just try every day. That's it. So thank you very much, guys, to being here. Thank you very much.